Hello everyone, welcome back to another strategic non-compliance, as we are here with Mike Bluehair as usual to give our bantering and all that fun stuff. Mike, you there?
Yeah, I'm here, brother.
I didn't beat you too
Hey.
badly with that monkey wrench, did I?
No, there's no beating.
Good.
No, I prefer people to be sarcastic and obnoxious, so we get along just fine. Ah.
And yes, Johnny no last name. It's surprisingly notifications on the other platforms are way faster and getting an update on what's going on. Hey, Unknown XX, I got it. I still got to check out your channel. I just haven't had a chance of getting around to it with the internet blood sports thing with Baked Alaska. There, I've been paying so much attention to.
Yeah, I just want to say hi to John and Wendy and China. And I've been here. Thank you guys for watching.
Yes, yes, and you're still working on getting that interview uploaded, right? So we can look at it?
Yeah, my computer's choking on it. It's saying 35 minutes before it publishes on my desktop. It'll go to YouTube quite a bit faster than that. So hopefully we can get that on by the end of the show.
Okay, so we're looking at second half of the hour. Okay, we'll fill the air or time with all that fun stuff there. And yes, as is, we have a short interview with Pink Camera Magic. It had to be done in the off hours because, unfortunately, she works during the times that Strategic Non-Compliance is happening during the 2 times a week that we do it, so.
Yeah, we might end up having it run to end the show. Who knows? If not, worst case scenario, when I upload this to the interweb, when I do my re-edit, because I re-edit all the Strategic Non-Compliant shows, I will include the interview in that. So, yeah.
Well, I'll have to check that out, Unknown. And, yeah, so we'll try to get that done. Unfortunately, the plan sort of shifted at last minute on the other person is still sick, so they couldn't be on with us. But, nonetheless, our opening music, of course, as usual, was Techno Axe there. And let us go ahead and read some news articles that I found that were interesting this past week here. Where's my other thing? Okay, so let's go ahead and turn on the window capture here. Oh, I need to shrink down that window size, don't I? Yes, I do. Well, here we go. All right, so this one's quite interesting. This is part of the reason why I picked the change. Ban on possession of stun guns violated Second Amendment Massachusetts High Court rules. What do you think about that, Mike?
They're still going to let cops carry the tasers, right? Of course.
Yeah. The ban was on civilians being able to acquire them. Cops have been always been able to carry them.
I know, but yeah. So I don't like any kind of weapons restriction. I mean, barring tactical nukes and airstrikes, I think you know, this is my own personal opinion, but I think that everybody should be able to own all manner of small arms, and electromuscular disruption devices should be, you know, everybody from your grandma to your, you know, 15-year-old kid should have a taser, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, okay, sorry, I had to make an adjustment on your volume here. You're seeming a little bit quiet on my side, so... Anyway.
Okie dokie.
I already fixed it, so...
Thanks.
Anyway. Well, let us go ahead and take a look at the article itself. Massachusetts highest court ruled Tuesday that state's ban on civilian possession of stun guns violates the Second Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. The decision marked a reversal for the court, which reached an opposite conclusion in a different case in 2015. The Supreme Court, however, set aside the earlier ruling, saying Massachusetts court failed to properly explain its decision. The Supreme Judicial Council court stayed the effect of Tuesday's ruling for 60 days, leaving the 2004 state ban in place to give legislature time to rewrite the law to regulate the ownership of stun guns without banning them entirely. Now, I have a problem with that. Let the law stay in place for 60 days kind of thing. What do you think?
You have your rights to bear arms and have a weapon to defend yourself. for 30 days or 60 days or however many days we say. It's just more government tyranny. It's complete and utter BS. I mean, in all these places like Chicago is a really great example that ban weapons, make it hard for your law-abiding citizens, your average Joe, Dick, and Jane to have these weapons. All you're doing is turning people into victims, because the cops aren't going to. There's not going to be a cop on every single street corner making sure everybody's grandma doesn't get robbed on the way to the corner store. That's incumbent on you and your family. So it's just taking tools away from regular citizens that need them to defend themselves, and allowing the government to keep arming itself, and it's just disturbing.
Oh, and NJ Diver actually just linked an article over in New Jersey. They're going.
What if you could find food so?
They're going to end their stun gun ban over there, so we'll add that to the list. Thanks, NJ Diver, for that one. So yeah, we'll look at that here in a minute here. Okay.
Oh, Bunny?
Yes?
China Lynn over in my chat room is saying hi to you.
Oh, hey, China Lynn? Let me see. Oh, yeah, hey, China Lynn. Anyway, continuing on here. We conclude that absolute prohibition against civilian possession of stun guns is a violation of Second Amendment. We order that the court of the count of the complainant charging the defendant with such possession be dismissed with prejudice. The justice wrote, the defendant, George Ramirez, was charged with illegal possession of a stun gun after a traffic stop in Riviera in 2015, who was also later charged with possession of other firearm without proper license. Ramirez's bid to throw out the stun gun charge on constitutional grounds was turned down by a lower court judge, but later referred to the SJC. The law prohibits individuals from ownership of any portable device or weapon from which an electrical current, impulse, wave, or beam may be directed in a manner intended to incapacitate or temporarily injure or kill. The law exempts law enforcement officers, but requires police to have special training on the use of stun guns. Wow. Isn't that messed up?
I think it's really interesting that they say beam or impulse, meaning there's something called a maser. It's a microwave laser. In directed energy weapons, there's something called a dazzler, which is basically you mount it onto the front of a 12-gauge shotgun, and that basically sends a high-intensity strobe, and it blinds your enemy and disrupts their ability to see while you're shooting them. I'm pretty sure they'll ban those as well. They're trying to preempt technology here. Like now, in the future we will have beam weapons. It's just going to happen. It's a matter of little tick-tocks on the old engineering clock. It's just going to happen. Now they're already starting to legislate against directed energy small arms. I think they're like projecting into the future. How can we tyrannize people in 100 years?
Yeah, and let's see here. Bunny Boots forgot who I am. It makes me sad. I just had to make sure I was pronouncing it right. I see the name. I've seen you. And Johnny no last name has this excellent question. How is a stun gun a firearm? Is gunpowder involved? Now, the term arms does not just straight up mean firearms. Arms is also pretty much any weapon or arm that you arm yourself with for defense or offensive capabilities. And so
swords, spears, bayonets, knives, dirts, clubs, all these things are considered arms.
Baseball bat, hockey stick, a circular saw,
whatever.
a pen if you really want to go that far, chopsticks, throwing stars. Yeah. There's a lot of things that would count as arms. It's just when people think of arms, they automatically go to firearms. They go gun, arms, firearms. Okay, but they don't think about the other weapons.
Well, that's because the only vocal voice for advocating for arms is the NRA, and that's the only, with repetition, that's all people's gotten hammered into their heads. But all arms means all manner of weapons.
Yeah, as Shane, I don't know specifically what you're talking about. I just gave you moderator status. Give me a link to that. I'm very curious about that. That sounds a little bit interesting since we are talking about various weapons. But yeah, back onto this. I do get a chuckle. Yeah, they're throwing in freaking beam weapons and anything that's able to direct energy with that part here. But let's continue on. Massachusetts is among a handful of U.S. states, including New York, Hawaii, Rhode Island, which ban outright the civilian ownership of stun guns. Many other states have restrictions on sale and possession of these devices. The earlier ruling in Massachusetts involved the arrest of a woman who told police she carried a stun gun as protection against her former boyfriend. In that case, the SJC upheld the woman's conviction, but the U.S. Supreme Court vacated the ruling. The charge against the woman was later dismissed by mutual agreement without further determination of constitutional questions. That is interesting. What do you think, Mike?
Well, I think that it's good that they're, discussing this and not just allowing a ban to happen. Like, it's, like I said, I'm just very firm on people being allowed access to weapons because, all these liberals are screaming about, like, school shooters and crazy shooting up stuff, and we have to keep the mass shooters from owning these weapons. But they never think about the old lady who has a, $250,000 of jewels in her lockbox downstairs, and, her husband just died and she's at the house alone. They're not thinking about the people that are handicapped that can't go to martial arts classes, or they can just use their upper body stuff. They're not thinking about, women that have been raped or men that have been, robbed and they're traumatized and they want to get a concealed carry license and have access to weapons. They're not thinking about all the people that would be underserved and given an extreme disadvantage because of the fact that weapons are being taken away from the populace. And I think that's really sad. There's millions and millions of people out there that need weapons for protection.
Yeah. And the thing is actually what catches my eye. The charge against the woman was later dismissed by mutual agreement. It seems to me Massachusetts, the prosecution there realized that this probably was not going to hold up if they pushed it hard in the courts after losing with a Supreme Court vacating the ruling. So I suspect that they knew that this was a straight up losing fight, the way they have an outright ban. And the thing is the Supreme Court has ruled actually in the last 2 decades, well, pretty much the last 2 decades, on laxing or how should I put it, opening up the reducing the gun restrictions that some of the states have put out in some of the municipalities, where it's like you can't own a firearm here at all. And it's affected Chicago and Washington D.C. and New York there, where they pretty much had outright bans on ownership of firearms. So we're sort of seeing a shift. I'm wondering if it's sort of like who we got in there and stuff like that, or it's all quite interesting. And this is pretty much nothing else is really on this for this, but let's go ahead and pull up the article that NJ Diver sent us. Get that loaded in here. As we're looking at stuff. Deerfield, Illinois, Tucker Carlson covered it. I'll have to do the research and maybe do a separate video on that then, Shane. Okay, or we'll cover it, do a follow-up on Friday or something like that. Okay, in a stun gun ban to end in New Jersey. Oh, this was an article from October of last year. If you dream of owning a stun gun has been thwarted by the state's decades-long ban, you're in luck. Thanks to U.S. Supreme Court decision, New Jersey residents will soon be free to buy the devices for the first time since 1985. There are new caveats to the new rules. A few caveats to the new rules, for which the public comment period ends on Sunday. Minors can't buy stun guns, nor can felons or mentally ill. But otherwise, it's open season. The New Jersey Second Amendment Society, which alongside the state residents sued the Attorney General Christopher Perino on grounds the New Jersey's ban was unconstitutional. Wanted it that way, said Alexander Rubin, the group president. We are adamant about fighting to make sure there was no permits or permission from the government attached to this, Rubin said, citing a 2015 murder of a South Jersey woman who was waiting for a firearms permit as a reasoning. We feel this is very important in regard to allowing people to protect themselves.
You know, something just occurred to me, Bunny.
Yes?
Personally, you know, I'm going to say something a little bit controversial here, but I don't think that most felons should be barred from having firearms or weapons. And the reason why is because the vast majority of felons are in there for non-violent reasons. I mean, there's felony drunk driving in California. Now, stripping a driver, some guy who drove drunk, once, or twice, like stripping him or her of their right to defend themselves for the rest of their life, I think it's morally and ethically repugnant. I mean, there's people in jail for, there's felony embezzlement charges. Some white-collar criminal that stole a bunch of money from a business, should that person not be allowed to defend themselves for the rest of their lives? Oh, hell no. So, I mean, I think a lot of felons, need their gun rights restored, and I don't agree. I think it's unconstitutional. Like, it doesn't say that felons don't have a right, in the Second Amendment, it doesn't say anything about felons, so what the hell?
Yeah, but I mean, we're allowed to take away people's rights to the extent of punishment. But then again, I think the felony part shouldn't be used as a means of continued long-term deprivation of rights. I do see that people that have served their time for their crimes should be afforded their rights back after they've done serving their time.
Yeah, I mean, it just doesn't make sense to deny people the right to defend themselves when they've committed no violent acts. It's just illogical.
Yeah. Oh, this is interesting right here, this next paragraph. The dismantling of the New Jersey stun gun ban comes 6 months after Perino's office signed a consent order acknowledging that the law violated the Second Amendment. But while gun groups cheer, New Jersey law enforcement community is ambivalent about the dismantling of the state's 32-year law. Go figure, the police are not happy about it. But then again, most tasers are melee weapons. They're not going to be used at range. And those that are designed to be used at range usually only have 1 or 2 shots. And otherwise just become effectively just plastic things that you may be able to hit someone with or throw at someone. I don't view stun guns as a major threat to like a firearm would be. But that's quite an interesting story there off of NorthJersey.com. And thank you for the find, NJ Diver. And with more, further fun, this one comes out of the Oregonian, and it came across last week. Oregon is number 2 in nation in requests for sneak and peek search warrants. Now, Mike, what do you think when you hear sneak and peek search warrants?
I think that the government giving themselves special powers like that go beyond the scope of the Fourth Amendment are morally, ethically repugnant, and it's antithetical to the spirit of the law of the way the Fourth was created in the first place. How in the hell can you be safe and secure in your papers, persons, houses, and effects when law enforcement can come in without your knowledge and do it repetitively? That just opens the door for them to plant all manner of evidence that they want in your house to convict you with, and it just, it's like the ultimate, workaround of the Fourth Amendment par excellence, and it's quite frankly something you would see you would imagine that would be happening in a totalitarian state or a bad dystopian movie about a fascist society, but no, it's happening right here in America.
Yeah. Okay, so as is, this is what the article's got to state. Oregon sought and won approval for more delayed notice search warrants than any other state except Illinois, according to the most recent annual federal court data available. Oregon had 851 from October 1st of 2015 through September 30th, 2016. As across the nation, most of the warrants in Oregon came in drug cases. Huh. What do you know? The war on drugs is still strong, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. The Office of Homeland Security, DHS, many of the provisions in the Patriot Act basically augmented and carried further the war on drugs. Like, it acted as a complementary augmentation to make it easier for cops to have more legal charging instruments. A charging instrument is basically a administrative bit of law that they can use and evidence that they can use to convict you in court. So, it's just, a lot of the stuff in the Patriot Act is basically, drug war 2.0.
Yeah, and the thing is when you look at, with this case, the drug war has brought us the inland border checkpoints, which I can't remember, was it News Now Houston or was it James Freeman who recently did a talk about it, where they pointed out that these inland border checkpoints are not for really dealing with illegal immigration. They're mainly there for drug searches. I think it was actually News Now Houston when he was referring to his when they planted contraband on him.
I have a little something to say about that.
Okay.
If they were there to, defend the border, they wouldn't be checking cars going away from and to the border. They check cars going both directions out of their checkpoints, and those don't make any sense whatsoever. Also, the ACLU did some research years ago, I think in 2007 or 2008, and there's something called Constitution-free zones, okay? Now, the federal government, because of these inland checkpoints, and the terror that was caused after 9/11, have created something called Constitution-free zones. And basically, I want you to imagine an imaginary line that's drawn 50 miles from the north border, 50 miles from the south border, 50 miles from the east coast, and 50 miles from the west coast, and then draw a line connecting them all together. So 50 miles from every border of the United States is declared free zone. If they wanted to, suspicionless checkpoints, all kinds of fun stuff that they haven't implemented yet. Now, the scary thing about this is the majority of the U.S. population actually lives in coastal cities. So the bulk of our
hold on. We got super chat.
Against having a gun in your home, Deerfield, Illinois.
Okay, Shane. I will go ahead and do a search right now. Go ahead and continue on with your rant.
Okay,
Mike.
Sure. So the majority of people in the country, our largest population centers are actually on the coastal cities. So you more than likely right now, if you're listening to this, are inside a Constitution-free zone. Now, if that's not scary, then I don't know what is.
Yeah. And as is, it's sort of amazing because states like Florida are entirely surrounded in these constitutional free zones.
Yep. The whole state of Florida is, every bit of it. They've claimed the rights to suspend the Constitution strategically.
And it sort of reminds me like the whole free speech zones and all that stuff. Okay. Okay, I think I know. I finally found the article. And we'll go ahead and cover that right after we finish this article here with the search warrants. Nationally, let's see. Here's the majority sought. Okay, drug cases. Here is the majority sought to collect geographic location data from suspects' mobile phone A senior drug prosecutor said. Nationally, the next most frequent request was for fraud. Federal officers must show probable cause for the property targeted for such search and holds evidence of an alleged crime. That's required by the Fourth Amendment, which protects private citizens from unreasonable search and seizures. Judges must believe that the delay would protect someone's safety, stop someone from fleeing, or preventing someone from destroying evidence, or otherwise jeopardize an investigation. Under federal statute, the target of a warrant should get notice of the search and seizure within a reasonable period not exceeding 30 days. With a judge's approval, the law allows for federal agencies to ask for an extension up to 90 days to further delay notice, unless the facts of the case justify a longer period of delay. According to the latest data, federal officials in Oregon made 385 requests for delayed notice warrants, plus 466 extension requests. Judges reject none of these requests. I don't like that. What about you, Mike?
It makes my skin crawl to think about it. Like, you know, it makes me so angry that there's this much of this BS going on that, you know, if you're one of those folks on the right that claims to be a constitutionalist, I'm sorry, but like, what constitution? What constitution are you referring to? Is that like some fantasy world that you're dreaming about? Like, you know, just wow. Like, how much tyranny will the American people endure before there's some sort of a rebellion? I mean, honestly, like how much is enough? The American Revolution happened because of a few percentages. It was like a, you know, in the low teens. It was like a 12% or 9%, something like that. Very, very low tax on tea. And I believe that the founders and the early colonists, they understood that once any sort of tax is levied against a people, government doesn't typically or ever make it any less. They always ratchet it up. So, you know, the thing is with tyranny is that, you know, it needs to be stomped out when it's small. I mean, we've allowed this to get so huge now that it may be quite probably irreversible.
Well, let's see. There's more to it. Overall, the nation's federal judges approved 9,100 delay notice warrants and another 6,000 extensions in the same period. Judges for decades have had the power to allow officers to delay notice of a search warrant, but the U.S. Patriot Act created explicit authority for federal investigators and prosecutors to seek permission while setting certain standards. There's that Patriot Act reference you made to just a little while ago. Sure.
Yeah. If you want to stare tyranny and evil into the face, dear listeners, Google Section 802 of the USA Patriot Act. And I'm paraphrasing here, but it basically defines domestic terrorist. And domestic terrorism and domestic terrorist is described as being basically this: anyone who engages in activity that is the violation that is in the violation of the law of any state or federal law, you know, in a manner that may be a danger to human life. Okay, so basically any violation of state or federal law that may be a danger to human life. And that's a domestic terrorist. So anything from drunk driving to you know, how about jaywalking? You're you know, endangering human life. Then, you know, it says you know, all manner of protest, because it also says in 802 of the USA Patriot Act that it must be intended to influence or coerce government. So if you're blocking traffic, you know, and someone gets hurt in a protest, there's a large protest march, they could conceptually charge people under domestic terrorism laws and say, oh, by the way, you get no First Amendment, Fourth Amendment, you can be held in indefinite detention forever. You get a special trial where you can't hear the evidence that's being presented against you, and we basically disapodicito you, just like they did during the Dirty War down in South America, down there. You know, it's creepy if you actually understand law and read through the USA Patriot Act. I mean,
yeah, and also they added more to that in the 2012 NDAA, which Obama signed, which specifically said, which had a very vague and non-defined word to expand who could be indefinitely detained under terrorism suspicions.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing I'm very cognizant about, because I've studied tyrannies, I've researched, you know, totalitarian states, you know, as a hobby. I'm no scholar by any stretch of the imagination, but I've come to the understanding that governments do not give themselves powers that they don't intend on using at some point.
Yep. Let's see. Let's go ahead and continue. Oregon's federal drug prosecutors don't put much weight on the court data, suggests that the discrepancies among federal districts on how they handle delayed notice search warrants. For example, a federal prosecutor in Oregon started pursuing warrants for geological data for cell phones only about 3 years ago. Those make up 80% of the requests, said Kevin Sunoff, spokesman for Oregon U.S. Attorney's Office. That switch has elevated Oregon's numbers, they believe. Previously, they had to submit an application and court motion for phone geological data, which required a significantly lower standard of proof. Reasonable grounds to believe that communications are relevant to a criminal investigation. We want to make a more conservative approach, Snoff said. We think that's why the numbers for Oregon are higher. Other districts might still be using a motion and not search warrant to obtain some same data. Phones regularly ping cell towers to register their position, producing location histories and other records. Such historical data is collected by phone companies. Investigators can also request real-time data updates from telephone companies or use device to intercept signals and collect geological data by pretending to be a cell phone tower. Ah, those are those Stingray things that everybody was talking about back in 2011 and 2012.
Yeah, that's the Stingray technology, and it's kind of interesting about that. Portland Police Bureau have something called a mobile command unit, and when there's large protest, they cut off PPB's regular radio transmissions, and it's all sent from there. So it's a command and control unit for the commanders that are constantly sending out orders to the sergeants or the cops in riot gear to manage crowds. And I believe that's where we keep our Stingray, but I'm not 100% on that. And also an interesting point of fact, since I'm on the police scanner all the time, every weekend, I'm constantly hearing radio calls. If someone loses their cell phone during a robbery or something, or the police are looking for a suspect, you know, if CERT is looking for a suspect or somebody ran, cops in Portland just get on the phone and just ask dispatch to ping the phone. And they tell them where the location is. Just a regular officer, regular uniformed officer, you know, out on patrol can just call in dispatch and say, hey, can you ping this phone? And they'll actually read the phone number over the radio, and they'll tell them where the phone is up to a couple feet.
Well, that's if that's if it's the phone has a GPS data in it, and they're able to triangulate using cell towers. It's not
just GPS. It's just if the phone is active, they use the towers to triangulate, and they do it with anybody. They'll just get your location.
Well,
and it makes a special ring too. It makes a special ringtone. I've watched cops recover stolen phones from people, and the phone makes this really high-pitched, weird ring that's only when it's being pinged. It's a special kind of ringtone.
Yeah, I'm not surprised about that kind of stuff, actually, because they've been that kind of technology has been being incorporated for anti-theft uses for quite a while now. In fact, actually, I think I installed an it was Lookout that's on my phone. Has a similar feature that goes through a private agency where I can do similar.
Sure, my iPhone has Find My iPhone, where if I lose my iPhone, I can get on any other Apple device and locate it if I've lost it.
Yeah. Okay, let's go ahead and wrap this up here with the thing. The U.S. Justice Department advised prosecutors in 2016 to get warrants for real-time tracking of phone locations, but not for historic data from cell towers. I see a problem here. Please. Get a search warrant for real time, but historical data, you don't need a warrant. You don't need just ask them for it, I guess. Yeah, I have a problem with that. And thank you guys for throwing up my little advertisings in my chat there. So, yeah, Sonoff estimated less than 10 of the delayed notice warrants during 2015 to 2016 period were for a property such as a storage unit. Okay. So were they monitoring a storage unit for drug dealing? Maybe drug holding? They're just trying to keep an eye? That's a possibility, so.
Or somebody they don't like and they want to set up for drug crimes, because if they just sneak and peek multiple home visits, you know, a cop gets frustrated and they want to set you up, they're just going to throw, you know, a brick of Coke under one of your chairs in the living room, you know?
Yeah, and so let us go ahead and look at this article I pulled up, and NJ Diver also pulled up one from the Chicago Tribune that we'll look at too, that deals with this, since what was it, Johnny No Name there did the super chat for us to cover this, which, yeah, I feel obligated to cover it since he paid $5 for that. Sorry, Shane Birchie. Sorry, had to double check there. All right. Illinois towns bans assault weapons, imposes fine up to $1,000 a day. The village of Deerfield, northern Illinois, has passed a ban on assault weapons, but it affects more than just sales and manufacturing. If the 18,000 residents of the Chicago suburb don't forfeit or secure weapons that fall under the ban by June 13th, they will be charged from $200 a day to $1,000 a day as a penalty. According to the ordinance, which the Village Board of Trustees unanimously approved Monday night, it is unlawful for a person to carry, keep, bear, transport, or possess an assault weapon in the village, except if the weapon is broken down in a non-functioning state, is not immediately accessible to any person, or is unloaded and enclosed in a case firearm carrying box or shipping box for other container by a person who has been issued a currently valid firearm owner's identification card. Papers, please. I'm gonna actually click on this link here real fast and see, is this like the actual ordinance? Does it? Okay, the agenda, proclamation. I want to know, what do they describe as an assault weapon?
Probably anything that's not propelled by a rubber band.
Let's see, felony. Stated the states the this is their discussion. There's 89 mentions of assault. Okay, these are the minutes. Come on, you gotta have. Assault weapons. That was. Oops, I misspelled that. Let's see if I can.
Anything that's not a spitball gun or a rubber band gun is an assault weapon.
I'm
pretty sure that's what they're going to say.
Okay, back this up. Okay, that's a letter. That's a letter. Letter. Okay, please go ahead.
I've seen idiotic anti-gun legislation where they've actually thrown in barrel shrouds as something to be scared of. It's a freaking dust cover. It's a freaking dust cover to keep dirt from falling in your barrel. But like, I've seen that as a, you know, part of a ban list of stuff. It's just incredible.
Okay, so okay, yeah, we got some definitions, and yeah, what is it? The Oregon one is pretty idiotic itself. Okay, definitions of assault weapon. The following words, terms, and phrases when used in this article, shall have a meaning ascribed to them in the section except where context clearly indicates a different meaning. Assault weapons means semi-automatic rifle that has a capacity to accept a large capacity magazine, detachable or otherwise, and one or more of the following. Only a pistol grip without stock attached. Any feature capable of functioning as a protruding grip that can be held by a non-trigger hand. A folding telescoping or a thumbhole stock. A shroud attached to the barrel or a partially completely encircled barrel allowing the bearer to hold the firearm with a non-trigger hand without being burned but excluding the slide to enclose the barrel, or a muzzle brake or muzzle compensator. This is... What? There's your shroud thing right there. What the fuck?
Right. They don't want dust covers on your weapon, apparently. They don't want your weapon to not be allowed to have dust go into it, you know?
This is... I mean, this... Even if this is a hunting rifle, too, right here. I mean, mini hunting rifle... You could put handguns on this.
Well, yeah, there's certain handguns like that. But look, anything that could accept a large capacity magazine, that's every hunting rifle. You know?
Yeah.
Like, every rifle can accept a large capacity magazine. Like, you know, that's just insane. This is a longer piece of metal with a longer spring that feeds more bullets into the freaking weapon.
I mean, I could sit there and 3D print. If there doesn't exist one, I can make. I just go and download AutoCAD. I get a 3D printer. I come up with the design, walk down to the workshop thing that has 3D printers and pay $25 a month, and then the materials, and use their 3D printer to make myself a freaking magazine. There we go.
You know, technologically, we're on the cusp of being able to do 3D printing with metal. When that happens, all bets are off the table. If there is a large-scale weapons ban, you can bet your ass. You can bet anything you want that organized criminals will have factories set up where they're banging out, you know, semi-automatic or automatic rifles like nobody's business, and they're untraceable. They'll have no serial numbers, you know, and they'll be very, very expensive, meaning that these organized criminals that are providing these assault weapons, these automatic rifles, will be made hyper rich in a very short period of time, making them even more dangerous. So if you want to live in a more dangerous society, go ahead and keep pushing for prohibition of firearms.
Oh, it gets worse. 2, a semi-automatic rifle that has a fixed magazine that has a capacity to accept more than 10 rounds of ammunition. So, even if it doesn't have a magazine attachment like my Mosin Nagant does, and I think my Mosin Nagant might be able to surpass 10 rounds getting shoved into it, it would be a violation of this. Or wait, no, I don't, my Mosin Nagant I think is actually bolt action. So, thank goodness that might not, because it's bolt action if I remember correctly. I don't have it with me, so I can't really look. Number 3.
It's just really...
Go ahead.
Really dumb and short-sighted, and people don't think of the consequences of the actions of these prohibitions. All they're really doing is disarming, you know, peaceful people and setting up a situation to where only the government and criminals have weapons.
Yeah, I mean, if you want a good example of where gun banning has not worked, I mean, go look at Southside Chicago. There you go.
There's someone in my chat room right now from Chicago, actually. They're listening.
All right. Now it gets better. Number 3. A semi-automatic pistol that has a capacity to accept a detachable magazine and has one or more of the following. Any feature capable of functioning as a protruding grip that can be held by a non-trigger hand. A folding telescope or thumb stock. A shroud attached to the barrel or partially or completely encircles the barrel, allowing the bearer to hold the firearm with a non-trigger hand without being burned, excluding the slide that encloses the barrel. The capacity to accept a detachable magazine at some location outside the pistol grip. Okay, D. Okay, detachable magazine. Are you referring to having an extended magazine or clip that goes into the bottom of the gun there? Huh? Because in a way, I could see this easily applying to just a standard one. Oh, it gets better. 4. Semi-automatic shotgun that has one or more of the following. Only a pistol grip without stock attached. B. Any feature capable of functioning as a protruding grip held by the non-trigger hand.
Oh man, they're what my dreams of an AA.
Oh yeah, that shotgun, man. That is a pretty kick-ass shotgun. C. A folding telescoping or thumb hole stock. D. A fixed magazine capacity exceeding 5 rounds or an acceptability of an accept a detachable magazine. Well, there's another one against it, and of course I've seen let's see, a fixed magazine capacity. I've seen shotguns able to accept more than 5 rounds easy. Well, pump shotguns and stuff like that. Oh, better yet. Number 5, any shotgun with a revolving cylinder. Oh, so those handguns that shoot shotgun rounds would also be banned with this law. Those that fire, what was it? I think those 18 gauge or something like that. The really small shotgun rounds.
Mm-hmm.
I have a relative that actually owns one of those.
And a shotgun that could accept that means it just has a receiver or a port that accepts it. So it doesn't have to be that kind of you know, that's ridiculous. All shotguns can accept that kind of I'm pretty sure there's like an attachment you can buy on eBay or whatever and order it and just attach it to your whatever shotgun you have.
Yeah, this is quite the interesting definition. Okay, number 6, a conversion kit, a part or a combination of parts from which an assault weapon can be assembled if those parts are in possession or under control of the same person.
Yeah, I like how the article goes over what I mentioned right before.
I went and pulled up the exact ordinance. They had a link to it, and I'm looking at the ordinance itself.
Yeah, the actual law. I get you.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, number 7 shall include, but not limited to, the assault weapon models identified as follows: AK, AKM, AKS, AK-47, AK-74, ARM, MAC-90, MISR, NHM 90, NHM 91, SA 85, SA 93, VEPR, AR 10, AR 15, Bushmaster 15, XM 15, Armlight M15, or Olympic ARM PCR, AR 70, Silico Liberty, Dragunov SVD Sniper Rifle or Dragunov SVU,
and a
Fabric.
Partridge in a
Oh, we haven't hit it all. We're not even a quarter through the list. Fabric National, FNL FAL, FNL LAR, or FNC, High Point Carbine, HK91, HK93, HK94, HKPSG1, Keltec Sub Rifle, Saiga, SAR 8, SAR 4800, SKS with detachable magazine, SLG 95, SLR 95 or 96, Steyr AUG, Storm Ruger Mini 14, Trove, Thompson 1927, Thompson M1, Thompson 1927, Commando, or Uzi, Galley, and Uzi Supporter, or Galley Sniper Rifle, Galtz. And the following pistol copies, duplicates therefore of, are not designed to be held and fired by a single use of hand: Calico M110, MAC-10, MAC-11, MPA-3, Olympic Firearms OA, Tech-9, Tech DC-9, Tech-22, Scorpion, or AB-10, or Uzi. The following shotguns copies therefore of duplicate: Arms Score 30BG, SPS 12, or Law 12, Striker 12, or Street Sweeper. And that's the list that they give.
Oh, there's no weapon ban. There's just a weapon ban.
Assault weapons. Go ahead.
It's in these anti-gun nutters will look you right in the face and goes, "I don't want to prohibit firearm ownership." Yet when you look at the actual laws, it's like this huge list of stuff that they want to ban. Like, oh, but I'm not very smart, and I allow talking heads to tell me what to think. Like the March for Our Lives in, you know, in DC, it was basically like one of the herds from The Walking Dead just coming through. This unthinking mass of reactionary idiots that are just kind of staggering along. You know, they have a few talking points put in their head, and they showed them a couple pictures of some stuff that triggered them, and they're like, I'm triggered, I'm ready for my input. Here, just input tyranny here, and I'll walk in the street and scream about how I want you to take my rights. Like, it's so disturbing. These people's psychology is so disturbing. It would be helpful if they would actually do like bunny boots in myself and, you know, the people that haven't lost their minds in America, and actually fucking read. Read, people. Reading is fundamental. That's an anarchist fucking public service announcement. Read.
Okay. Assault weapons does not include any firearm that has been made permanently inoperable or satisfies the definition of antique. They put a line through firearm and they changed the handgun. Stated in this code, or weapons designed for Olympic target shooting events. Detachable magazines means magazine means any ammunition feeding device or function of which is to deliver one or more ammunition cartridges into the firing chamber, which can be removed from the firearm without any use of a tool, including bullet or ammunition cartridge. Oh, we finally got to large capacity magazine definition, which means by any ammunition feeding device with capacity to accept more than 10 rounds shall not be construed as the following: a feeding device that has been permanently altered so it cannot accommodate more than 10 rounds, a 22 caliber tube ammunition feeding device, a tubular magazine that is contained in a lever action firearm. Oh man, these definitions. So a 22 caliber rifle is able to have a tube ammunition feeding. Oh wait, no, sorry, shall be construed to include the following. So these are in the included part. Okay,
my
so
favorite part was also muzzle brake. Like, I'm not a gun guy. You have military training. Tell me if I got this correct or not, because I'm a camera person. You know, I've only owned a few guns my whole life. But isn't a muzzle brake like a specific little divot or cut in the barrel so it doesn't it diminishes recoil a little bit, right? Isn't that what it's for?
Speaking of muzzle brake, that is the next definition we're about to read off. Muzzle brake means a device attached to the muzzle of a weapon that utilizes escaping gas to reduce recoil.
Okay, so yeah, it's basically just at the end of the barrel, there's like a little divot that's cut in it, and it allows you to fire the weapon more accurately. And that's an assault rifle. You know, wow, that's crazy.
Well, the thing is that helps for like hunting and stuff like that, because
it helps you shoot straight.
Yeah, well, as that bullet is still traveling down that muzzle, you're still having to for that split a fraction of a second, you still have to maintain proper control of it. And then when it does leave, you don't want to be kicked on your butt or have someone kicked on their butt if it's a high-powered enough rifle, to where they're going to end up accidentally aiming it in someone else's direction.
Yeah, I'm proud of myself because I remembered that. Like, you know, I have to share with the audience one of my my biggest f-ups on my YouTube channel. When Michael Strickland was being arrested, he was this fellow that was arrested with a bunch of trumped-up charges for aiming a weapon at a bunch of protesters a couple years back. I was describing to the officers what I saw, and I referred to his magazine as a clip. And, you know, there's like 2 million people have watched that video so far, maybe 3 million. So there's me making, you know, retarded rookie gun mistakes in front of, you know, 2 million viewers. So that's awesome. You know, if you're gonna mess up, buddy, mess up big. Don't, you know, go big or go home, right?
Yeah, I mean, you got to do something to end up on Livestream Fells or something like that, or something. Yeah. Muzzle compensator means the device attached to the muzzle of the weapon that utilizes escaping gas to control muzzle movement. Yeah, let's see here. Safe storage of assault weapons exceptions. It shall be unlawful to possess, bear, manufacture, sell, transfer, or transport, store, or keep any assault weapon in the village. And then they crossed out a bunch of stuff for provision. The provision of this section excludes those pertaining to the manufacture or sale of any assault weapon in the village. Does not apply to any law enforcement officer, agent, or employee or municipality of the state of Illinois, or any law enforcement officer, agent, agent or employee of the state of Illinois or the United States, or any other state, any member of the military or service of any other of any state or the United States, including National Guard and Reserve, if possessed, if persons described are authorized by the competent authority. Thank you for describe. Competent authority to so carry an assault weapon loaded on public way in which such a person is acting within the scope of duties or training. And adding on further law enforcement stuff. Okay, transportation of assault weapons exceptions. It is unlawful and a violation of this section for any person to carry, keep, bear, or transport or possess an assault weapon in the village, except when this section does not apply or affect transportation of assault weapons that meet one of the following conditions, are broken down in a non-functioning state, and are not immediately accessible to any person, or are unloaded in an enclosed case, a firearm carrying box, a shipping box, or any other container by a person who has been issued a currently valid firearms ownership identification card. Papers, please.
Do you have your papers? Your papers, please.
That reminds me, I need to sit down and play Papers, Please on my live stream drama channel. I gotta buy that game and play it one of these days, just so I could be the authoritarian asshole that says no, you cannot come in. You are denied.
I'm looking forward to the new Wolfenstein, Castle Wolfenstein game, because I want to kill Nazis. And in the Wolfenstein game, you get to kill lots and lots and lots of Nazis. So that's great.
Oh, did you know that game is censored as hell over in Germany?
Oh, of course it is, because they're so politically correct about their hate speech and anti-Nazi laws that you can't display a swastika. You can't, even in a video game. So in a video game that's all the fun is derived from killing Nazis, you can't show Nazis being killed because, that's just insightful and it's evil, and it's just ridiculous. I mean, of all the things to censor, let me kill my digital Nazis, you bastards.
Okay, so now this is quite the interesting part. Now we're getting into the technical aspects. Okay, penalty. Any person who is found to have violated this article shall be fined not less than $250, not more than $1,000 for each day, and separate offense shall be deemed committed on each day during or on which the violation occurs or continues. Every person convicted of any violation under this article shall, in addition to any penalty, provide in this code, forfeit to the village any assault weapon. And then this is what you're supposed to do if you legally own one and now it's made illegal. Any person prior to the effective date of this ordinance number was legally in possession of an assault weapon or large capacity magazine prohibited by this article shall have 60 days from the effective date of this ordinance to do any of the following without being subject to persecution or horinder, or however you pronounce that. A. Remove, sell, transfer the assault weapon or large capacity magazine from within the city limits of the village. B. Modify the assault weapon or large capacity magazine to either render it permanently inoperable or permanently make the device no longer defined as an assault weapon or large capacity magazine, or surrender the assault weapon or large capacity magazine to the chief of police or his or her designee for disposal as approved under section 1591 of this article. I wonder, what are they going to do with this? What are they going to sell them? That's a good question. Let's go ahead and look for. Go ahead.
They're allowed. Law enforcement is allowed to have all these.
Yes.
So they're probably going. Look, I could totally see the federal government modifying, the 1033 program that allows, local municipalities to get free military surplus just given to them. IR rifles, bayonets, IR scopes, all kinds of fun toys. But I could totally see them modifying 1033 to where they could just have the surplus seized weapons.
Oh,
just give it. They'll probably arm their SWAT teams with it. Their CERT teams and their SRT, their HRT teams, the hostage rescue teams, all that stuff. Will just get all these. I'm pretty sure that's what they'd do if they succeeded with this tyranny.
Okay, well, here comes the actual destruction part. 1591. The chief of police or her designee shall have the power to confiscate any assault weapon of any person charged with a violation under this article. The chief of police shall cause to be destroyed each assault weapon or large capacity magazine surrendered or confiscated pursuant of this article, provided, however, that the assault weapon or large capacity magazine shall be destroyed until such time chief of police determines the assault weapon or large capacity magazine is not needed and as evidence in any matter. The chief of police shall cause to be kept a record of date and method of destruction of each assault weapon or large capacity magazine destroyed pursuant to this article. I'm wondering, is destruction meaning maybe parting out and throwing it out or something like that? Or still, this is very vague on how it is. And I remember a story, I think it was about 4 or 5 years ago, where it came out that a police department was faking the records for destruction of these firearms and was actually reselling them to other dealers and stuff like that in order to pull in
a few times.
Yeah.
I've seen multiple news stories about that over the years.
And so this, and as is this being near Chicago, a city that is known for its corruption, I could see this easily happening with this township.
Oh, sure. Chicago is demonstrably corrupt. When I was in Chicago for the NATO summit, I think it was 2008, I think. I don't remember the year. I've done way too much activism. But the police there were just frighteningly violent and corrupt. The stories I heard people tell me that lived there is just, yeah, Chicago, the cops may as well be an organized crime syndicate. And that's no joke, you know.
Okay. Section 4. If any section of this paragraph, clause, provisions, or ordinance shall be held invalid, the invalidity of such section, paragraph, clause, or provision shall not affect any other provision of this ordinance. Okay, do I need to translate that for the general crowd of what that means?
Oh, do and rub a little sarcasm on it.
It says that, okay, if the magazine portion is actually deemed illegal by the courts, the only part that will be deemed illegal with this law is that magazine section, or a specific subsection like how this stuff is destroyed. If it's deemed invalid, only that part will be invalid, not the entire ordinance. They're trying to say that it's only going to affect that one part. It's sort of like we're trying to put on, the bulkheads on it in order to reduce the flooding of a potential flood within the ship. And I'm sitting here laughing. Yeah, if this gets taken to court, it's all fucking going. This is not going to hold up. Oh man, this is just.
Well, it will hold up long enough to confiscate, thousands of weapons and jail hundreds and hundreds of people and get their lives ruined. But then one of those people will take them into the courts and sue the shit out of them.
Oh, okay. And here's even better. This ordinance shall be in full force and effect upon its passage and approval, and shall subsequently be published in a pamphlet form as provided by law. So once this passed, it was immediately in effect, and people have 60 days to get their damn firearms out of town. That pretty much ends me reading the ordinance itself. We actually looked at the ordinance because they gave me a direct link. Thank you, Illinois. Let's see if there's. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, just from my chat room, Desert Sentinel's saying that in California, when they destroyed the rifles, they turn them into rebar and use them for construction material.
I feel that as sort of valid, but then again, I don't think that's a good way of reusing it because rebar. Well, I guess rebar is usually junk metal. I'd be a little bit cautious on using it in that kind of construction or whatever. I could see it maybe being used. If there's some quality control in the smelting process, then yeah. Yeah. Hopefully they do. If they're confiscating them and destroying them appropriately. But we all know that some of those firearms are going to go out from, obviously, nudge, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, yet it was destroyed. You keep it. Just make sure no one knows about it, blah, blah, blah. make sure to file off that serial number.
Yeah, the stench of the corruption has gotten to the point to where your average person is starting to want to throw up, and that's kind of good because there may be some resistance finally. And I want to see, broad, nonpartisan resistance to some of this usurpation of our rights. It has to be nonpartisan. I mean, when you get your soccer mom and your right-wing militia guy on the same page, I mean, that's going to be a beautiful thing, and it's going to happen,
Ooh, okay, so there's some interesting commentary that comes place in this article. The ordinance makes specific reference to the recent mass shooting in Parkland, Florida, Las Vegas, and Southland Springs, Texas. In quotes, assault weapons have been increasingly used in an alarming number of notorious mass shooting incidents at public places, public venues, places of worship, and places of accommodation. The ordinance reads, the authors of the legislation claim the law may increase the public's sense of safety, notwithstanding potential objection regarding the availability of alternative weaponry or the enforceability of such a ban. Objections have come in spades. On Thursday morning, the Illinois State Rifle Association announced that announced it and the Second Amendment Foundation had jointly filed lawsuits against the village of Deerfield. They are blatantly violating state law and are violating the Second Amendment, said Richard Pearson, Executive Director of the Illinois State Rifle Association. He said the ISRA has been receiving waves of calls from people upset over the ban and confident the ISRA legal challenge will prevail. The penalties are just draconian, he says. A lady or a guy who owns a large capacity magazine or anything like that could owe thousands of dollars, and if they cross the thin, almost invisible line between municipalities, they could be considered a criminal. The NRA is supporting a similar lawsuit filed by gun advocacy group Gun Save Life. Every law-abiding villager of Deerfield has a right to protect themselves, their homes, their loved ones, and with the firearms that best suit their needs. Chris Cox, Executive Director of the NRA Lobbying Arm, said in a statement. The term assault weapon is in itself highly contentious, and no discussion of such a ban would be complete without some clarification. Since the expiration of federal assault weapons ban in 2004, there hasn't been any official definition for the term. It is often dismissed by gun rights advocates for its imprecision in describing what exactly is an assault weapon and what an assault weapon is or isn't. A common NRA talking point states an assault weapon should be defined as any weapon used in an assault, whether it be a gun, knife, or otherwise. Deerfield Ordinance sets its own extensive definition of terms. In short, it's a variation of assault weapon is a semi-automatic rifle with a capacity to accept large capacity magazines, detachable or otherwise. There are other aspects including rifle additions and types of magazines. As defined by the village, the term also includes semi-automatic pistols, semi-automatic shotguns, conversion kits, and any shotgun with a revolving cylinder. So, as is, the assault rifles ban, that also covers pistols and shotguns. Yeah, it's too broad of a freaking ban. It should be a weapons ban.
That's what they love. They love these super broad definitions because they want to be able to say with a straight face that they're not for a outright ban, but they want to get as many weapons as possible out of the hands of law-abiding citizens that have hurt no one.
And apparently there was a shooting at a high school that they referred to. Douglas. Oh, okay, never mind. That's over at the Parkland.
You know what I want to see, Bunny?
What?
I want to see a computer-generated image of a gun-free zone sign with blood just splattered all over it. Because it's basically like a all-you-can, attention freak sandwich for these mentally deranged people. They're like, oh, where do I go? Do I go to a gun store? Or do I go to a rural concert? No, there's too many people concealed carrying there. I know, I'll go to a school or a shopping mall or a movie theater where there's this big sign that says no weapons and we can put you in jail if you show up with them. Yeah. Brilliant. But yeah, I need that image. I need a gun-free zone with blood splattered all over it because, you know, it's so ridiculous. It's so ridiculous.
Yeah. Oh, I would say they also refer to the Pulse nightclub shooting in another article with the Chicago Tribune. So, yeah, that's quite interesting. How's that interview upload coming? Or did you forget about that?
We're screwed for that interview. It's saying it's going to take another hour before it finishes uploading. My computer's misbehaving. So I'm going to have to add the Pink Camera Magic interview to the produced version of this video when I put it on the interweb. And you can have a link to it there, Bunny, and you can share it with your people as well. Once it's finally...
You disappoint me greatly. We put that in the title.
Well, you know, people can just learn to suffer. Like, well, here's the deal. I got to tell the audience. Claire Burnett is having health problems, so she wasn't able to come on. So I was expecting to have her on this morning, or this afternoon, and it just didn't happen. Sorry about that. That is my bad. But you know, I'm sure that people will they're just going to have to deal with having me and Bunny on the show for the next hour. Just suffer, people. Learn to deal with disappointment. Yeah, I'm just kidding, man. Thank you guys for watching.
Well, we could always. Well, I don't want to get involved in a blood sports debate yet. I'm sort of holding it off for another month so we can have
charging battery.
Get some stuff out of the way, and then we'll have fun debating some of our politics on here.
Who's gonna have a blood sports thing? Us?
Well, yeah. Don't we have like the debate of what is it? The how we view civil rights as either a legal thing or God-given, or I think you refer to it as, or higher power.
I think of it as well. I think the reason why the founders that crafted the Constitution used it as it being a God-given thing is because the concept of God or the concept of a religious figure imparting civil rights is something that human beings can't legislate away. And I think that's what they were stabbing at, is that, you know, if rights are granted by a higher power, then, you know, the likelihood of human beings trying to legislate them away would be diminished. And I think that was their thinking. But I mean, my issues with law is, as many of them aren't moral. They're not ethical. And that's my stance as an anarchist. You know, if the law is immoral, I don't think it's I think it's made invalid just on that alone. You know, but I don't know.
All I gotta say, it's gonna be an interesting discussion. But you know what? I think I might reach out to a few hosting platforms. Maybe we'll take the debate to something larger if they're interested in hosting it, because I don't think it's something we could easily cover in a 2-hour thing, and we would need to set up a larger time frame.
I want to do blood sports stuff because I like you, you know, and I like.
Oh, it doesn't. Blood sports does not mean that we're going to end up yelling and all that stuff. It just means that there's a discussion and an opportunity. I'm not
required to be mean to you.
No, you're not, and I'm not required to be mean to you either.
Okay, well then that's fine, but I don't want, you know, like bad blood or any of that shit, because that's stupid. Like, you know, I respect your opinion. I respect you as a human being and your intellect. So, like, I'm just not interested in having an argument, but I'll talk about whatever you want to talk about. That's fine.
Yeah, and for you guys that heard the battery critical thing, that's my headset. It sends a signal to let me know when the battery gets low. I just need to quickly plug it in real fast, which I just did.
Yeah. Can I say something so my audience can...
Go ahead.
You know, I want the Portland Police Bureau's intelligence unit that has admitted in open court that they're spying and listening to and monitoring all my social media. There's a lot of idiots out there on my YouTube channel asking for people to kill cops. There's people making comments about, why don't you just shoot that cop in the head? And my answer to that is, you morally and ethically repugnant shit stains, is I don't advocate for anyone to be hurt or killed. I think violence is the you know, when you're going to violence, you've lost. If you have to use violence to further your point, you've already lost the argument. Your point is invalid. You invalidate yourself when you use violence. And I think it's disgusting and disturbing that, I mean, sure, I have problems with authority. I have issues with law enforcement as it exists in its current form. But do I want them dead? No. And I would very much appreciate people stop asking for people to be killed on my YouTube channel, because it disturbs me. It makes me unsettled.
Yeah, and thank you, Ed, on the reminder there. Yeah, actually, he was in here a little bit earlier. I told him I haven't had a chance to look at his channel yet. I sort of remembered it yesterday, too, when I was working on stuff. But anyway, let us go ahead and continue on with our sort of last story before we start digging into some other videos and have criticisms. You're going to love this one. This is done by Ross Story. It is actually published right at the end of last year. Alabama town revolts after mayor, judge, prosecutor, and cops set up scam to rip off citizens. Can you guess what kind of scam it was?
I don't know. What could that be?
Oh, it's a combination of two things that you definitely will not like. The police department of a small Alabama town was nearing bankruptcy due to lack of ticket revenue, according to AL.com. The cash-strapped department and city council took drastic measures with the asset forfeiture program for those caught speeding. Now the mayor of the city blaming the bad press about the sketchy scheme and 7 plaintiff lawsuit for a drop in revenue. Ranson reported that the department would do is impound vehicles they pulled over using the state's asset forfeiture law, allow them to keep 100% of the items taken by police. The claim would be that there was suspicion of drugs or anything they could come up with, and then require the owners of those vehicles to pay a $500 impound fee.
Wow.
So you can see how bad this is going right off the bat. It's
just gonna turn these cops into a 21st century version of the Praetorian Guard that they had in Imperial Rome, where they were allowed to just extort duties from citizens to fund themselves. I mean, it's just disturbing. Like, you know, there's 2 books, and if you want to understand American politics in the 21st century, and imagine if you want to understand where we're going, read the Rise and the Fall of the Roman Empire and the Rise and the Fall of the Third Reich. If you read those and just think about the parallels between what's going on now and what's been expressed in those 2 books, and your entire worldview will shift. That's all I'm telling you, people.
Okay. It gets even better. The town hired officers and worked with a judge to maintain the program. Those that were hired were often dressed in camouflage that was tucked into dark assault boots. One of the alleged victims was Trey Cozier, who lost $1,700 to Castleberry Police Department. The 550-person town was so furious about the program, Mayor J.B. Jackson, who came up with the idea to stop and confiscate vehicles, was booted from office. A municipal court judge and prosecutor were also ousted. Police Chief Tracy Housey was forced to resign in February.
Well, that's a beautiful thing, you know, and hats off to those people for treating their servants like their servants, because that's what they are. They're civil servants, and I think it's amazing that these people got rid of these tyrants. I mean, that's a really cool story.
Yeah, okay, and let's see, how many... Okay, this is a 550-person town. Lead attorney Richard Nix thinks more than 100 people were probably impacted by the city's program. All of the belongings and alleged drugs that were seized by police haven't been located in the investigation. The totality of the cash taken estimates $5,500. He claimed that the chief didn't follow minimal procedure requirements to perform asset forfeiture. 100 people out of 550.
Wow. What?
Okay, I'm gonna do the math here. I pulled up my calculator.
I mean, well, just quickly do the math, and I'll tell the viewers. See, the whole reason to justify asset forfeiture seizure was to seize the infrastructure of hardcore drug dealers, like people that have houses and boats and multiple bank accounts and all that fun stuff. And then eventually it just trickled down to anybody who had a joint in their back seat. Oh, we'll just take your car. But and this is taking it a step further, because these tyrants are saying they don't want to do the 60-40 split of all the assets seized with the government. They're just going to keep all of it. I mean, wow. Just getting greedy here, folks.
Oh, well, and I just did the math. It's 18% of the population of the town. Of course they're going to get ousted. When you have an action taken by the government that impacts more than 15% of the people majority of the time, if it goes past 10%, you can expect huge political blowback.
Oh,
yeah, especially when it's in small enough numbers like this. It was like roughly around that same amount of people that had an issue back in the Revolutionary War against the before the Revolutionary War with the crown.
Yeah, I think it was about less than 15% actually participated in the American Revolution.
Yeah, so it just gives you an idea how much push, I mean, how much of a population you can screw with before they actually say, enough is enough, we're going to fight back. Let's see.
They fought back, you know, with the democratic process, which is, you know, that's interesting. Very seldomly does that actually work, but it's helpful that this is a small municipality. I wouldn't see that actually working in a large scale kind of thing. Like if they tried that in Portland, it's nuh-uh.
One plaintiff claimed police stole $3,800 from her vehicle because they said the cash was obviously part of proceeds from an illegal drug activity. She still doesn't have her car back, but there is no record of civil forfeiture requests being filed.
Oh, so they just pocketed her money. Wow.
They didn't do any of the paperwork. They just took the car, took the money, and that was it. It's like, yeah, you're out of luck.
Wow.
Let's see. We don't have so much. So Halsey come to me and said there is a lot of crime in this town and a lot of drugs coming through this town. Jackson told AL.com. So he said, why don't we set up a court system to get some money coming in? The department was created...
He's just asking outright, hey, we manipulating the legal system to make money. Wow! That's honest.
The department was created in 2009. At least 5 police officers were paid more than 5 times the national per capita average.
Oh, they must be super cops. They must fart gold dust, you know, and like, you know, save cats out of trees by blinking their eyes and miracle crimes away by holding up their magic badges. These must be super cops to be paid the 5 times the national average.
Oh, you're gonna love this next statement. We hired our own DA and judge, Jackson revealed. The revenue started to grow, and we built out the police department. Yeah, of course that's gonna get... Oh, it gets better. There's even evidence of Halsey gloating on Facebook. According to Nix, he allegedly posts photos of these arrests and videos showing him joking with them about the arrest. Jackson never denied the department program was set up to garner money and turn the department into a policing for profit. In the wake of the town's financial crisis, word of lawsuits spread fast. Suddenly, the city was slapped with $60,000 in unpaid bills and 6 figures in debt. The town is split on whether or not to keep the police department, but the townspeople are split on where to go moving ahead. The city council voted 3-2 to keep the police department active on a limited basis.
You know, I have to weigh in here for a second, Bunny.
Go ahead.
This is the kind of stuff you get when government has a monopoly on policing. Personally, I think it should be opened up to the free market, and private security firms should be able to go to a municipality and say, look, I have these workers. Here are the psych profiles. Here are the, you know, we vetted all our employees. Here is their lack of criminal record. Here's their training. We want to have a private policing outfit, you know, provide a service that competes with the government. And here is where we've worked in the past, and allow the municipality, the voters themselves, to decide, would we rather have police that have this monopoly that can basically do anything they want, or would we rather contract with this private security firm? I think there should be competition for the providing of peacekeepers, you know, and that's just my humble opinion, but I think that system would work a whole lot better.
Yeah, and I just posted the article in the chat, guys, so you can go ahead and...
I mean, Bunny, would you not agree that if there were competition for who provides the policing, that might, you know, very well provide better policing?
Well, my opinion on that, it varies. I do see a competition being viable in some locations, but in places where it's... You got a small town like this, it wouldn't really hold up too well. But I could see it definitely being a viable thing within the larger municipalities. And in fact, you sort of see that when you have... where you have a town will sit there and make a suburb of itself and say, okay, we're going to cover our own policing. We the county can bring in troops, extra police officers if we're overrun or whatever. But in which case, then you have a competition between a county level and that municipality kind of stuff. You do see that kind of stuff. And what's interesting is actually the Matsu Borough of Alaska, borough up in Alaska, is looking at instituting their own police force within a borough, because up in Alaska, there is no borough/county police force. It's either state or municipal. So that's going to create some interesting, how should I put it, possible competition for revenue, well, tax dollars up in that area. You know, who knows? Maybe we'll see improvement in all that.
And SoGrid was saying in my chat room that it's problematic. Like the whole private police force thing has issues because there would be monopolies, you know. But like, there's ways of not having monopolies. You know, there's ways of, you know, decentralizing things. You know, you could allow private companies to run policing outfits under certain rules. Like when corporations were first incorporated in the U.S., they were temporary entities, and they were only allowed to incorporate after they, for as long as the corporation was needed to complete the project. Like it was a public works thing, like a sewer system or the building of a bridge, and then they would incorporate temporarily and then finish the project, and then the corporation was dissolved. You know, corporations were never really meant to be monolithic, multi-generational things that last forever. And if a similar model was implemented, I think it would be beneficial for at least municipalities to have that option.
That is a possibility. Yeah, I mean, I see the pros for the concept, but I also see negatives. And
sure.
I mean, it's not a one size fits all kind of situation, because as I stated, with small municipalities with like this town of 500 people, it wouldn't be a viable thing.
Sure, and it shouldn't be monopolies or a plutocratic, you know, who can afford the private security and everybody who can't. Like, there has to be some way of making it equitable.
All right, so we are done with news articles. We managed to finish up 90 minutes. Of course, also thank you for the super chat. So we ended up covering that other one, which I ended up having to reload my damn page for a stupid reason. So I lost the super chat count there of who did that. Sorry, I'm not able to keep track of everybody's names while doing a show and who said what. Okay, so you're over to the My Circle already, right?
Yeah, man, I'm ready for this News Now Patrick debacle. Like, I have a feeling by watching the first 30 seconds of this video that my critique isn't going to be kind.
Yeah, and I do. Here's the thing. I got my criticisms of News Now Patrick, but he's gonna do what he's gonna do. I'm not gonna sit there and say he can't do this or whatnot. But I could sure as hell. We could sure as hell sit back and laugh about it, because this is like
to get up there until.
Whoops, sorry. This is all kinds of cringe. So let's go ahead and let's get started here. Well,
to get up there until we got a few people on here. Yeah, it's not dragging or anything, so that's good. What's up, Squid?
That is News Now Patrick, who's wandering around.
It looks like one of the guys at a Team America World Police or something.
Hey, what's up, everybody? You think they'll respect your right to film in public?
I don't know. Hopefully I don't get shot.
Yeah, I mean, it's cringy fun. I give him that kind of credit.
I am guessing that they will respect my right to film in public, but I think that they might not like Patrick filming in public. Just a wild guess, I think people might discriminate.
Here, get a good picture of me. Here,
I think people might discriminate against who.
They might also discriminate against James Freeman there for his big, long Islamist-looking beard there.
His beard may be epic. His beard may be epic, but it probably isn't as epic as mine.
Can and can't film in public. Hold on, let me get a picture for Patrick.
I can't take that baby face so seriously with the way he's looking.
It definitely makes for really good political theater. I think it's hilarious. I
yeah.
Don't know.
News Now Tennessee, I agree. He should put on a fake beard or something like that to go with it. I mean, if you're gonna be cringy, I mean, he's wearing a red shirt underneath it. It just sticks out like a sore thumb, and I'm just like, ah. But still, I get a laugh out of it to some extent. I'm cringing, but I'm laughing at the same time. I'm sort of being a Mr. Metacore here.
Oh my god.
All right.
All right, thanks.
You think they'll let you film in public, Patrick?
We'll see, guys. We'll see.
He does not have the vest on underneath this either. Maybe he should. So we're going to the Social Security office. I think with this outfit, Garland Police Department would have been the best place to go.
What do you think? Would the police department have been a better option?
I don't know anything about the demographics of that area or the municipality, so anything I would say at this point would be just BS. So I'm just gonna keep watching the video.
The tag sticking out. I don't even think. Now I question it, does he even have it on straight?
I think he might have it on backwards or something.
Yeah, and someone was saying, what was it? Don't trash James Freeman. I'm not trashing him. I'm just enjoying and sitting back and enjoying the cringe and just laughing.
I think it's funny. I mean, you know, he has a right to wear anything he wants. I mean, he could the prosthetic butt cheek strapped to his forehead, as far as I'm concerned. Like, I'm not criticizing him at all. I think it's hilarious. Like, I thought maybe I would have harsh criticism, but so far I'm just being entertained by the humor of it.
And all kinds of government agents taking cameras away from people while they're breaking the laws. And we're just here to reinforce that.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Oh,
just to make sure they're doing everything okay.
So we're not here to get private citizens in the video. We're here to watch them.
Yeah, we're watching them. So.
Let's see here. I think there was a... Oh, they're filming the signs here. Muzzle.
Kidnap, assault, intimidate, or interfere with designated federal employees.
Whatever. Hey, Harry, he's back. He's back.
Okay.
I guess it's that lady. She's pointing at us.
So, guys, someone could help me out with that.
Yeah, please do. We've never
Just Google it up and...
We're pretty sure it's not existent. Probably pertains to something else. You know, it could be commercial use, which this is not commercial use. So.
There you go.
That's hard to say on that. He has it up backwards because you tried. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's up backwards. I don't have that specific kind of outfit, so I don't know how it's supposed to be worn. I would at least look at how it is. So yeah, I'm pretty sure he's got it done backwards. I wonder if it was comfortable wearing it backwards. Let's see here. Let's
I think it's up here. Can you try to find it?
You can't restrict the freedom of the press, though.
Prohibited conduct.
I think they're just being racist against you. I think.
What do you think?
I think it's interesting. Like,
Oh.
you know, they're not doing anything illegal, so why the hell not? Like, screw it. I'm gonna get myself a jihadi.
Oh, you're gonna join me at some point?
Sure, why not?
Let's see.
Well,
Go ahead.
Let's watch more of the video, like his interactions. I just want there.
Okay, yeah. What's where was that one guy?
Hey, man. We're getting out of here. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you guys respecting our right to film.
What are you guys? What are you guys doing?
Oh, we were just filming.
You can't film me, man. You can't be filming.
Oh, we can't?
Not me. Why you want to film me?
Oh, we were just coming to say bye.
Yeah, we're just coming to say bye.
We got one more.
Oh, you want us to wait? Did you want it? Did we need to wait? Do we need to wait? Is that what you're saying?
Have you got a ticket, sir?
Do we need?
Have you got a ticket?
I'm just asking if you want us to wait here or
My
not.
question is, do you guys have a ticket?
My
We
question
call
is-
numbers so you guys get seen. If you guys have a ticket to
Do
be
we have to
seen,
wait?
My question is, do you want us to wait here for someone, or are we?
do you have business today here?
Yeah.
Do you not
You
hear
have
the question?
business today?
Yeah.
Okay, you got to get a ticket.
This is our business.
Get a ticket,
No,
and then they'll take care of you.
No, the camera is our business. Here, I'll ask him.
This security guard literally has a mature IQ. I mean, I'm sorry, but wow. Okay, like.
Hey, we were just coming to tell you guys thanks for respecting our right to film, and we were going to leave, but he's saying no, wait for a minute. So I'm wanting to know if we're waiting. He's kind of loud and disruptive.
I'm in this building. Guys, if you're not gonna do business, you can step right outside. That's your business.
Need you to quiet down.
I'm
So,
just asking you to leave. So we got some other parties.
so I was just wondering if we were supposed to stay and wait for somebody, or if we were good to go. We didn't want to act like we're running off. You know.
Did we get your name and information?
No, you're not gonna get it though.
Well, then I need you to go. Okay. We don't have any.
It's a public
Okay.
area.
Well, we just didn't want it to seem like we
As
were.
long as you are conducting
This is our
business, videoing is out.
This is the business.
Videoing is out.
I don't think these guys understand the law. They're just.
We just wanted to make sure we weren't taking off
To
and looking like we're
respect the
running.
privacy of the people here
But
in
it's
the
a
building.
public area, so there's no privacy in public.
This is a federal building.
It's a
We just
public
didn't want it to
area.
seem like we're running when we leave. You understand?
All right, but I do need your information.
No, you don't.
Well, that's not gonna happen.
Apparently, this guy has some distinction in his mind between a federal building and a public building. You know.
Yeah, this is gonna be interesting. Go ahead. Hit the play.
You can step outside and wait for me, okay?
Wait for her.
And wait for you? So we do need to wait.
Sure.
Is that a yes or a no?
Yes, please.
Is that a lawful order?
If this gentleman wearing a badge is a peace officer,
He's
has
not.
made
Does he have? Is he TP certified? Does he have a police officer's
absolutely
license?
yes.
That guy is not a police officer. That guy's a private security firm contracted by the that building or office building or whatever.
I think this man is so incredibly ignorant. Well, he's got a badge, he's got a costume. Like, oh, he can do what he wants. He can take you in the back and just push a knot, stick up your back end. It's all right. He can do whatever he wants to do because he got a badge on. Wow. All right. Hit that play button, Bunny.
He
Absolutely.
does not. He has a security license, and he
No.
has a license to hold a
No.
handgun. He is not a police
He is
officer.
a federal commission.
So if we tried to leave, it would be as if we were. You would think we were trying to run. Is that right?
Well,
Because I don't want to try to run from something
I
if
mean,
you
are we
think.
being detained?
here, let me do this.
He's gonna take a picture. We're gonna FOIA that, just so you know.
Because you're on
it's for
official
your well.
business. You're on
Okay.
official business, so
That's
you
fine.
get to FOIA that
Just
picture on
I
your
just
phone.
want you to know beforehand.
Here, yeah, take a picture.
Yeah.
Well, I bought some more stupid people in costumes to stand around scratching their heads.
I like your outfit.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, keep in mind that all cell phones and devices
Did you want? Are you gonna?
must be on silent.
Is there anyone?
We're trying to pose for a picture.
Is there anyone in the lobby with a Z or a X ticket?
Because
If so, please stand up. Please proceed into the
What's that?
your documentation your filming can be confiscated. So that's what I want you to wait for, okay?
To steal my stuff?
No, for the police to take that.
For the police to...
Wait. Was it the guy with the badges on their outfits there, the police?
That's exactly what this Nimrod just said. I don't even think this guy is taking census of what he said or didn't say. Like, I just think he's just talking on some kind of bizarre autopilot, because he's not even attempting to be consistent in what he's saying to them. You know, and he did say, "Oh, he said he was a cop." He said the private security guard there is a cop. You know, like, wow, this is wow. These guys have done such a great job of illustrating how stupid and unconscious and how, you know, on autopilot these costumed idiots are. I don't know, you know, just wow. I can't wait to see what else, you know, unintelligent or just stupid comes out of these people's mouths.
To steal my stuff?
That won't be stealing. It's called confiscation.
You can't confiscate anything
Now-
unless it's involved.
Now might be a good time to call down here, guys. They're threatening to steal our stuff. This is the Social Security office. I'll go get the address. So I'll get the address out front. So I guess they've called local police. Let me get the address. This is the Social Security office. What's the address here, man? Can you look it up on your, can you Google it real quick?
Yeah, 1 second. Here, you need it?
Yeah. We need the address here and we need the phone number. Social Security office.
Okay, the address is...
All right, can I get all of this?
Yeah, go
all right,
ahead.
here's the
Just
address.
zoom
I'm
in
just
on
gonna read it. 10824 North Central Expressway.
Dallas.
10824 North Central Expressway, Dallas, Texas. 10824 North Central Expressway, Dallas. We'll Google it so we can get the phone number also.
Yeah. And we're live, so if they wanna arrest us for trespassing.
Well, you know, as is, we got our criticisms. We're not sitting here and trashing them. I mean,
No.
we're criticizing them on some of their antics, but as is, they stumbled upon some brilliant stupidity out of the administrative staff there and security.
My only criticism is the guy's got his shirt on backwards. You know, I mean, if you're going to be on camera, you probably don't want to have your tag sticking out of your clothes. But, like, I think it's brilliant the way they just, you know, brought out the stupidity and illustrated it very well of these, you know, public employees.
Yeah, and as is, I do have my problems with News Now Patrick, but I have my problems with a lot of other people too and how they do their things. And we talk behind the scenes. I haven't yet had an opportunity to talk with News Now Patrick or anything like that.
I literally don't know nothing about him. This is the first whole video I've ever looked at.
But the thing is I'm open for criticism. I take criticism all the time. People come in and banter with me all the time. And there's times when if I got opening time or whatever, I'll invite them onto the show, onto my channel for a discussion about whatever they have an issue with me. I will sit there and open that up. So, well, if you got a problem with me or whatever, you know, feel free. We'll set up a time or whatever, and you can have a chance to come and voice your grievances or give me your criticisms, okay? And let's say if any of the other activists got that problem, I open my doors for that. So just keep in mind, I will also make retorts and criticisms back too. So, but let's go ahead and skip this a little bit further here, because I think there are...
said before, you don't...
Hold this for me for a second.
Okay.
Over that way. Over that, no, over that way.
You know, we don't, the freedom of the press, the First Amendment, we don't need permission, you know, it's a public area.
Hey, they said, ask the people coming out if they've seen your camel anywhere. Ask everyone going in and out if they've seen your camel anywhere.
I had somebody text me from your live stream on that policy.
Yeah, I just saw someone I knew coming out.
It says, what the policy concerning photographs for news advertising or commercial purposes except when security regulations, rules, orders, or directive applies, or a federal court order.
Do you know what he's reading off?
Sounds like the 2010 or 2012 memo that was sent, the DHS memo, yeah.
He's reading off 41 CFR 102-74.420.
That's way at the bottom of the DHS
No, that's
memo.
at the bottom of the first page of the DHS memo.
Right.
That is the federal regulation.
Yeah. Well, the first page is the one that mentions the filming, so whatever. Like that's all that anyone in our ilk actually gets through.
Yeah. And let's see. Well, here's the thing. Everyone audits their own ways. There is there needs to be for some criticism either behind closed doors or in the public venue. I don't have contact directness with a lot of people. I do have with certain people and all that stuff. And sometimes a public criticism is needed. And other times, I mean, it's better to do it behind the scenes. It's just when you got something that's this cringy, it's better just to make it public.
Well, they made it public already by uploading.
Oh, yeah.
Personally, I think you should be allowed to wear a silly costume if you want. I mean, if he went in there dressed like a freaking squirrel, you know, I think he's got every right to do it. The whole have you seen my camel thing? I could see how, like, you know, social justice warriors or politically correct people that are looking for something to scream about racism could have a fit about that, but it's free speech, it's humor, it's silly, whatever. I don't have an issue with it.
Yeah, in fact, actually, over on Am I Free to Go, I got into a short comment exchange with someone who said that this could be viewed as could be viewed as a public disturbance when he's going around asking people for a camel because it's offensive and stuff like that. And I pointed out what News Now Patrick did, cringy, sucks, or whatever. I mean, I don't like it personally, but he's legal to do. And the Westboro Baptist Church, I mean, for all the cringy and annoyances that they have brought to the United States, established in SCOTUS case law that something like this wouldn't be considered public disobedience, not disobedience, public disturbance, and as is, they would have the legal right to be able to do this. So while they're go ahead, yeah.
There's a cultural value that everyone holds here, and that's your freedom of expression, and it's, you know, it's listed off as a right in the First Amendment. Your right of freedom of expression. It's not just that you can say anything you want, it's that you can wear anything you want. And, you know, liberals like to scream about hate speech and how they want to make it illegal, but there are numerous Supreme Court decisions that mention hate speech, in quotes, as being First Amendment protected activity. Now, fighting words, you know, inciting violence or inciting a riot publicly, those are things that are illegal and that go against that cultural value that's actually consistent with the law. Now, if he actually had a camel there and he said, you know, I'm going to run you over with my camel, then maybe that would be a disturbing of the peace, you know? We should all be adults. We should all understand the difference between hyperbole, sarcasm. We should all be smart enough to know that if someone doesn't have the ability to carry out a threat, you know, that there is no threat, you know, and people just need to basically grow the fuck up and, like, act like adults.
And actually, I pulled up the statements here, that is, I specifically opened up cringy as hell. Seems like another thing I started being picked up by others, but as usual, News Now Patrick does it half-assed and doesn't take it seriously. That's my personal criticism there. And this was a comment in a Reddit posting. Now, another person came up. I remember you walking in actual Muslim attire. That didn't read as offensive at all. This feels intentionally offensive. This could possibly rise to disturbing the peace as they are intentionally trying to agitate people. Now, I retort, I disagree on that opinion because freedom of speech exists no matter how offensive the speech is. Westboro Baptist Church solidified that in a SCOTUS case law several years ago. They came back. I agree. It isn't now, but now it only takes one judge to say they took it too far and they're protesting protesting, but just intentionally trying to elicit a negative, violent response from the community, and boom, disorderly conduct precedent has been set. And then I go, there will be no precedent because WBC has already said it with SCOTUS. And I did a linking to the actual wiki page of that case law.
You know, I have to weigh in here something. You know, one of the cultural values we have is using, like, as a constitutional republic, we value the ability to use extreme language and extreme contortions of expression to you know, express ourselves politically. Like the idea of satire. Like, I'll give an example. One of the best insults I've ever heard was when John Adams was, you know, when John Adams and who was it? It was Thomas Jefferson were running against each other in for president. Jefferson said John Adams is a hermaphroditic beast, absent the better parts of a woman or a man. So, you know, basically, you know, you're the worst parts of male and female and just this hard amalgamation of both. Okay, and that's like, you know, the people that literally wrote the Declaration of Independence, like, you know, Jefferson actually penned it, and Adams was actually there. You know, the people that were right in the very core consciousness of the birth of this nation understood that extreme language, extreme expression is something to be cherished.
And the trash talking between them in open publications was insane at times.
Absolutely insane. They used to, if a politician did something to piss off the people used to burn effigies of them in on corner squares, like across the whole country. You know, you go to a large town and during a political upheaval, and there'd be like 30, 40 fires of people burning effigies of the politician that did whatever it was to piss them off. You know, so I mean, that's a cultural value, is to express, you know, sarcasm, satire, all these fun things and I don't want to see that diminished as a culture.
Yeah, and I mean, the thing is I respect News Now Patrick, the fact that he's getting out there and do this stuff. I have my criticisms. I don't like quite a bit of some of the stuff, well, a decent amount of stuff that he does do. But he's out there doing things. I have to give him credit for that much. It's the same thing with Omaha Cop Block. I have my criticisms. But yeah, I still communicate with him every now and then and help him out when he needs help. But I still openly criticize him, and I'm pretty sure he understands that. I hope he does so. But, I mean, that's how things are. We have that thing. And people do criticize me, and I do criticize them back. How I criticize them back depends on how they do the criticism and what specifically they're attacking. So, we got to keep that in mind. Go ahead.
That's par for the course. Anybody who starts a YouTube channel like myself or Bunny Boots or any other activist or people that are just making media to entertain you, we understand that we're going to get attacked, we're going to get insulted, we're going to have, I mean, shit, sometimes death threats. You know, it's par for the course. So when you're at this level, you know, you just expect there to be a lot of crap thrown at you. If you don't, you know, you need to stop doing this.
Yeah, and the thing is one of the things that I've been enjoying and I want to get back, I mean, hoping to have some more opportunities with opening my own blood sports arena, is going on. It's like when I hopped on with the Morning Kumite, which is internet blood sports at its finest, where it's a no-holds-bar, verbal argument. It could be straight-up intellectual debate between two people, and it could go south and into straight up yelling match and name calling. But it still entertains, and you learn about stuff that's going on and how the people are able to retort and talk to each other. It's quite interesting. Yeah, he's still out there, surprisingly. And in fact, I think he started posting again, but of course in the manners that most of us don't like, with the grabbing other people's stuff. But yeah, as is, I mean, I enjoy those debates. With Ichabod Orange, that was a good debate. With Weibo Jones, I think it was, the cop lady there, or prospective cop lady, that was a good debate. And that was over on Sinatra Says, on a different platform that sort of deals with discussions and stuff like that. You know what? That reminds me. I gotta send Sinatra Says the this whole band thing over in Chicago. Maybe he might want to do some coverage on that. But anything else you want to add to this, Mike?
No, man. I think it's the most striking thing to me is the stupidity and ignorance of the employees inside the Social Security building. That's the most standout thing to me in this whole video. I mean, aside from the cringy, sarcastic costume, you know, but whatever. Like seriously, that's the thing that sticks out most in my mind is the ignorance and stupidity of these people that are, you know, contracted to work in a federal building.
Yeah, and I have more to like cover on all this stuff, but you know what? It's past 5 o'clock.
It is past 5 o'clock, so I will get that video to the interweb. My computer froze like 3 times while I'm trying to upload it. Like it's froze at 20%, it froze at 40%, and it froze at 60%. I'm like,
you're having some sort of connection issues. We kept losing your voice every now and then for about 2 seconds or 3 seconds.
Oh, that sucks. You should have told me.
Well, when I was about ready to say something, you came back and you're fine. So I was like, okay, well, we'll just run past this unless you like go out for like more than 10 seconds. Anyway, we might as well go ahead and do our final plugs for the evening. You want to go first, or should I go first?
Yeah, man. Thanks a lot for everybody that's watching. I have to apologize again for not keeping up with the chat room as well as I should. I try, but this time I was specifically trying to get that video of Pink Camera Magic uploaded to the interweb during the show. But yeah, I mean, if you like what I do, please share it. Share it around the interweb. If you're watching this on Steemit and you're not liking and upvoting and re-steaming this, you're an asshole. Don't be an asshole. So re-steam my stuff. All right. Again, thank you all for watching. Yeah, see you guys on Friday.
And as is, I'm Bunny Boots Inc. Strategic Noncompliance is on twice a week. It's a bi-weekly cast, or a live stream that we do. And as is, you can catch us on Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Pacific time frame. So this way East Coast has a chance to participate and listen in live. And then once more, we do it on Friday at 6 p.m. Pacific time frame. So this way, the West Coast has a chance to get on here. And yes, Johnny No Last Name, apparently our title is clickbait, and I'll have to get the monkey wrench out for Mike Blue Hair on that specific aspect. As is, you can catch it either on over on Mike Blue Hair's YouTube channel, Mike Blue Hair, or you can catch it on my channel, YouTube, Bunny Boots Inc. I also stream to other platforms, which is Twitch, Twitch Stream Me, Periscope, Mixer, and those are all underneath the same name if you want to look at that. Links are in the description on my side of things, and Mike Blue Hair has description affiliate links on his side of things. I hope you guys had a good time with us. Anything else you want to add in?
No, man, just love my fans, and I appreciate my co-host. And I don't know, man, I don't know if I... So you might have to talk me into it, because, like, I just don't feel good about it. I mean, I'd rather, I don't know. Like, I'm not interested in the idea of internet bloggers. Like, I'm from a generation where when you say things, you mean them. Like, when people threaten me, I'm just thinking, there's no way you do that to my face. You know,
I will
honestly, my hands are covered in scars. Like, they're usually from people's teeth or their braces. Like, I've had a really, really rough life. So to me, when people argue, like, I'm really thinking about the violence. It's not like this whole culture of people online being able to say anything they want, you know.
So don't worry, we'll have time. We'll have time to sit down and explain it out. As I said, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be epic when we do have our political, personal viewpoint discussions, which I think the audience will definitely enjoy. Anyway, you guys have a good afternoon or evening. Well, actually evening for pretty much most of us. It's after 5 o'clock. And have
all right, Bunny. See you later, brother.